Feisty, unpredictable, and proficient with the shotgun, Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edgerunners has solidified herself as a fan favorite. Despite her limited screen time as a secondary character, Rebecca's popularity is on par with David and Lucy, the protagonist and deuteragonist. Her popularity and success was far from expected by the creators, as her design was initially rejected by the video game developer. The reason provided was that her childlike appearance was overly contrasting with the rest of the group and was simply against the aesthetic of Night City. Thankfully, Studio Trigger dismissed CD Projekt Red's concerns and took a firm stance to keep her character design, going as far as saying that she's best girl. The loli must stay. While I had a chuckle when I read it, I also couldn't help but respect the persistence Studio Trigger had to retain the integrity of her character design. They clearly saw something in Rebecca that CDPR didn't and had deeper intentions for her role rather than simply being a loli in a cyberpunk world. Which is why today we're going to explain some of the things that you may have missed about Rebecca's character and why I think her design is actually a lot more thoughtful than expected. To do so, we must first flesh out all the overarching themes that Cyberpunk Edgerunners brings to the table, because her design actually correlates to those themes. High-tech, low-life is the mantra. Cyberpunk is about mega-corporations, social inequality, and false promises. In Night City, where despair is the only air you can breathe in, you have no choice but to prioritize your personal gains. This selfishness is presented as a survival mechanism rather than a fault, and is reiterated multiple times in the show. Maine, Kiwi, Lucy, Faraday, whether a comrade or an enemy, one thing they all share in common is this selfishness. But then you have someone like Rebecca, who is introduced as this hot-tempered edgerunner that has a love-hate relationship with her brother. But as we see more and more of her, we soon realize that she is the best ride or die one could ever hope for in Night City. Her willingness to stick with the crew until the end and to give her unconditional love to David, even if unreciprocated, shows how loyal, caring, and unselfish Rebecca truly is, a rarity in Night City. When her brother was killed, we saw how uncontrollable Rebecca became as her sadness and anger took over her. It was clear that she cared deeply for her brother, and one of my favorite understated scenes from the show is the one where she imitates his showmanship to entertain the crowd with her gun prowess. While the scene only lasted like 5 seconds, it was quite a powerful and bittersweet moment. At this point, we know that her spunky nature would not allow her to cry from sadness, so this was her way of grieving her brother's death. It was her way of remembering him and to potentially find some kind of comfort. In brief, she's an edge runner that actually cares for others, one that swims against the tide. And that is what I think the devs wanted to highlight through her character design. Her entire character is a walking paradox. Her short stature and childlike appearance suggests weakness and innocence. Even her pink and toy-like guns add to this supposedly naive appearance of hers. But weakness and innocence are the last attributes anyone would use to describe her. It's just not possible to have those attributes as an edgerunner in Night City and still be alive. And have you seen her wield that shotgun? Her pale skin and soft features also insinuate fragility, but as we've all witnessed, she is one tough motherfucker, as she would say so herself. Rebecca is definitely not one to hold back on swearing or even violence when needed. But again, all her physical attributes contrast with her feisty personality, and behind all the bravado lies an unselfish and caring character that goes against everything that is wrong in Night City. Whether it is selfishness, brutality, or betrayal for personal gains, Rebecca's noble intentions contradict the prevailing toxicity that torments Night City. But going further than lies and betrayal between individuals, Night City is best described as an illusion of opportunity. It is a metropolis with powerful technologies shining brightness in darkness, but is actually overrun by corruption, crime, and violence. The ending of Cyberpunk conveys this illusion masterfully in this heartbreaking scene involving Rebecca and David. David's mother had always wished for him to climb the corporate ladder and to reach the top of Arasaka Tower. And he ironically achieved his dream. as a chromed out cyber psycho on a suicide mission. His delusion was already hauntingly sad, but what brought this scene to the next emotional level was the use of Rebecca's facial expression. This is the only instance in the entire series that we see Rebecca show sadness. We've seen her happy, we've seen her angry, actually very, very angry, we've seen her excited, confused, but never once sad. Not even when her brother Pillar got murdered on the streets, not when Maine, the leader of her crew, died, not when Kiwi betrayed the team. Only here, in front of the one she loved one-sidedly, as she knew it was too late for him to save himself, and she was ready to follow him until the end, asking nothing in return but to be by his side. The conveyance of complex emotions and narratives through a swift facial expression or even a 5-second scene is what makes Cyberpunk Edgerunners so great, and also why I love Rebecca's character so much, as she was the vessel used by the creators to express those narratives. I've been thoroughly impressed by the recent video game adaptation series such as Arcane and Cyberpunk, and hopefully their success proves enough to inspire more great gaming related animations in the future.